Hello everyone. Welcome. Okay, here's what we're going to talk about today, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how chords are built, okay? We're going to go over the basic chord theory about how chords are built. That's all. And so this way we actually understand the chords we're playing, which is a good thing. So to start, every chord is built from the notes of a major scale. And we determine which notes to use from that major scale based on the chord type's formula. So every chord type has a formula, and we apply that chord formula to the major scale whose chord we want to play. So for example, if we want to make an A major chord, the major chord type is a first degree, third, and fifth degree. And the degrees are the numbered labels of the notes in the scale, right? So 1 to 7, starting from the first note, all the way to the last note. So since we want to build an A major chord, we have to look at the A major scale, right? And we'll grab our first degree, our third degree, and our fifth degree. So that's going to be the A note, C sharp, and E note. And those notes played together make the A major chord. So that means anywhere on the fretboard where we find an A note, C sharp, or an E note is an A major chord. So like this note. Sorry to say my eyeball. Hold on. So like this chord here. Every note that we're playing in this chord is either an A note, C sharp, or an E note. Same with this one up here. They're all A notes, C sharps, and E notes. They're my slippers. And so now what if we want to build an A minor chord? Well, the same process applies. We have to look at the minor chord type formula, which is a first degree, flat third, and fifth degree. So we have to look again at the A major scale, always the major scale, okay? And we'll grab the first degree and the fifth the same, right? But for the third degree, we need to make a little adjustment, right? Because the chord formula, chord type, calls for a flattened third. So the C sharp note gets lowered and flattened to a C note. So now the notes A, C, and E are the notes that make up the A minor chord. And again, when we bring that over to the fretboard, any A, C, and E note that you find is an A minor chord. And so that works for every single chord type, okay? They all have a chord formula that are going to be applied to the major scale of the chord you want to build. So let's do another one. Let's do a diminished chord. And the diminished chord type formula is a first degree, flat third, and flat fifth degree. So if we want to build a D diminished chord, for example, we need to look at the D major chord and make alterations as necessary, right? So the first degree is going to be the D note. The third is a D sharp, but we need to flatten it, right? So it's going to be lowered down to an F note. And the fifth degree is an A note, but we again need to flatten that note. So the A note becomes an A flat note. So D, F, and A flat, those are the notes that make up the D diminished chord. Oh, what was that? So now if you see a weird chord extension type chord that looks really weird and you're like, what the heck is even that? It's really not that complicated. We just have to analyze the formula that makes that chord, and then we know what notes go into it. So let's do a complicated one. Let's do a G minor 7 flat 5. Okay, that sounds really weird, and it is. But let's figure it out. So one step at a time. This is a G chord type, right? It's a G of sorts. So we have to look at the G major scale. And so now the chord formula is a minor 7th, right? So we need to take a look at the minor 7th chord formula, which is a first degree, flat third, fifth, and flat 7th degree. So now we go back to the G major scale, right? And we grab our first degree, which is the G note. Then we go to our third degree, which is a B note, but we need to flatten it, right? So it becomes a B flat. Then we look at the fifth degree, which is the D note. And then we have to go to the 7th degree and flatten it, right? Which is F sharp. So we have to flatten it to a F note, right? So G, B flat, D, and F. Those are our notes that make our G minor 7th chord. But now the chord type calls for a G minor 7 flat 5. So we have to go back to our G major scale and flatten the 5, which is the D note, right? And we need to flatten it. So the D note now becomes D flat. So we have all our notes of our chord now, right? We have a G note, we have a B flat note, we have a D flat note, and we have an F note. And there are our notes that make up the G minor 5. No. And there are notes that make up the G minor 7 flat 5. See? That wasn't that complicated, was it? And so that's all, okay? That is how we build chords, okay? That's it. Let me take some water. G minor 7 flat 5. Yeah, G minor 7 flat 5. Ooh, ooh. So that's all. So if ever you see like really weird, complicated chords like that, you just have to break it up a little bit at a time. And then that's it, you know? And if you want a visual, you know, kind of example about how this whole thing works, you could just go over to meganchurchmusic.com for the beginner guitar guide. It has all this basic chord intro theory, all in visual kind of examples, and a bunch of other intro theory and stuff. And you can also take a look at the 77 Guitar Study eBook. It's a Guitar Study eBook. It has all the chord shapes, all the scale shapes, all organized in the cage system. And, you know, it's just one big study textbook, you know, yeah, whatever. That is all, everyone. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Here's why. Because 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to solve a Rubik's Cube for the world to see. Okay? So if you want to see that, you're going to need to subscribe because I'm not doing it until I have pancakes. And so that's all. Don't forget to subscribe, okay? So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all that you do. Thanks for all that you've ever done. Don't forget, if ever there are, you should not forget, don't forget that there are so many different ways. There's so many ways to fold a t-shirt. So just